Today is April 13th, 2025. Welcome. There is no Commissioners Court meeting on Monday. It's not the first or third Monday of the month, but there are some meetings. So let's see what's happening. The Bell County Elections Commission will be meeting on tomorrow, the 14th, at 1:30 p.m. And it's establish an order and call the meeting to order and establish a quorum. Consider approval of the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 Commissioners Court or Election Commission meeting. And then closed session pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code to discuss and deliberate the officers and employees of the governmental body relating to the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassessment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, to wit, election administrator. And then item 4, consider evaluation for election administrator. The election commission consists of the county judge, the county tax assessor collector, the county clerk, and then the chair for both the Republican and the Democratic Party. So those will be tomorrow for that. Then on the 15th, 2025 at 1 o'clock, we will meet for a workshop, the Bell County Commissioners Court. Item 1 is a closed session pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code to discuss and deliberate about officers, employees of the governmental body relating to the appointment, employment, evaluations, reassignments, duties, discipline, or dismissal of public officer, to wit, Commissioners Court direct reports. My only issue with that is that no one knows who are the direct reports to the county commissioners. So let me see if I can rattle them off the top of my head. We have the tech services director. We have the facility services director. We have the truancy officer. We have the county engineer, which is vacant. Road and bridge. What else? I want to say there's like close to 10 of them. Contracts manager. Then we have, let's see, I think that's HR director, and the museum director for the museum. And then I think there's a couple of more in there, but I can't remember just off the top of my head. So anyways, that's what we're going to be doing this week. As mentioned last week, I wanted to play a segment from the Commissioners Court meeting where we were discussing Chaparral Road. I'll play that. And then also, I was able to do an interview with Lan Carter, who is running for Killeen ISD Board of Trustees. Early voting starts on the 22nd. So we will play that for you in its entirety. So please, a lot of information you're about to get on Chaparral Road. That will be on the agenda for the 21st of April for us to vote on. So get educated on Chaparral Road. You can hear what the commissioners were thinking and talking about during the workshop, so you kind of have an idea of how things will go in the meeting. And then you'll enjoy our conversation interview with Lan Carter, candidate for Killeen ISD School Board. So enjoy these two segments.
Next item on our agenda is discuss Chaparral Road improvements and potential recommendation for engineering services. Mr. Minor.
Yes, Judge. Thank you and the court. On December of last year, Freeze Nichols, and we have some representatives here if you want to come forward. Freeze Nichols performed a study for Bell County in making some recommendations for improvements of traffic flow and potential measures there. Based off of that, we put a multi-way stop there at Chaparral, at the intersection of Chaparral Road and Featherline. That's also the boundary between Precinct 2 and Precinct 4. Based off of this recommendation, there was recommended to improve traffic flow to put a traffic signal there and to do a turn lane turning, I guess that would be north onto Featherline. With that, there's some engineering and everything involved. They gave estimates of how much it should cost for the build out of that intersection. This will be the first traffic signal in the county that the county owns and operates and maintains. So it's definitely, I think, something significant for the county on how we operate. But to get all that, we need to get a set of plans. And Freeze and Nichols, they already been doing a lot of work with Chaparral Road in the city of Killeen. I think you're the lead for the final design for Chaparral Road. But in the meantime, we don't know exactly when that's going to occur. And at least at a minimum, 2029 is what we've been told. So, staying 4 years, we're only going to continue to grow. Traffic's going to increase on Chaparral Road. So I want to go ahead and make this, get this going to get this traffic light put in and the turn lane. I have a quote from professional services, and I'll let Colton go into it a little bit further. But what we're getting and kind of an anticipated timeline, and I will be seeking ratification on the 21st of the next meeting for this, just because I want to try and get this out as fast as possible for bid to try and beat that, have this work complete and performed during the summer while there's no school. This money is budgeted from Precinct 4 funds for the professional services and for the actual work to be performed for the contract. So, but I'll turn it over to Colton.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Minor, and thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for listening to me. This project has a lot of background, and I'll
go ahead and introduce yourself, just so she's got.
Oh yes, my name is Colton Fisher. I am a project manager with Freeze and Nichols. Sorry about that.
That's right. Thank you.
This project has a lot of background, and I won't get too in the weeds, as y'all are probably familiar with a lot of it. But Chaparral Road overall is a little over 6 miles, and the City of Killeen, City of Harker Heights, and Bell County entered an interlocal agreement a couple of years ago to design a schematic level design for Chaparral to basically expand it from 2 lanes to a 4-lane divided road. And that schematic design is complete, but the funding to proceed to more detailed design for individual pieces has not been identified to cover everything yet. So all of that said, as Commissioner Minor said, the portion by the high school here and by the middle school that won't start at least until 2029 construction-wise. There is a chance it could even be longer if funding becomes an issue later on. So it definitely seems in the best interest of the county to address some of these traffic issues now. As to what those improvements are ultimately up to the county. We did a traffic study last year on the Featherline intersection and then the high school intersection, so those 2 combined. Traffic studies look at intersections and give them a letter grade rating depending on what their traffic looks like. So A is traffic is flowing super smooth. F is traffic is at a standstill for more than a minute. And both of these intersections are currently at an F right now. If you go there during school hours, and I'm sure you can understand why, traffic tends to back up past Featherline quite a ways, which is bad for people dropping off and picking up kids, and also for people trying to go past the school to keep going on Chaparral. And the middle school is set to open this fall, so traffic's only going to get worse at these two intersections. So we conducted a traffic study of.
So the middle school's already open.
Do what?
The middle school's already open.
For students it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's been open for a year.
Well, last year they printed it.
Was it? That's right, yeah. It's been open for this past school year.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So traffic is getting worse consistently as more students come to those schools. So we looked at which improvements would be needed to help traffic at those two intersections, and came up with a plan. At Featherline, it would require an eastbound left turn lane, a traffic signal, and a westbound right turn lane. And at the high school driveway, it would require a traffic signal and an eastbound right turn lane. So what we've talked about in this contract involves that the traffic signal and the eastbound left turn lane at the Featherline intersection, which would certainly help. But to ultimately fix all of the traffic issues at both intersections would require those 3 turn lanes and 2 traffic signals.
And when I spoke with Spencer, no additional right-of-way will be required.
Correct.
And no utilities will have to be moved, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and the goal would be to get everything designed so that construction could take place during the summer, and ideally finish before school starts. We'd obviously have to work with the contractor once we get to that point to make sure it could happen, but that's the plan for now.
But no new right-of-way, no utilities being moved. Is that for the ultimate build-out on the city's whole plan, or is that just for a temporary construction now?
Just for this temporary solution, yes, there will be right-of-way needed for the ultimate section.
And I plan to, working with Matt, with the road and bridge, from where this construction in this bid will end, to go ahead and redo the county portion of Chaparral Road from there to Highway 195. So I think total investment into Chaparral Road with all of this will be a little over $1.2 million that we'll be putting into Chaparral Road this summer.
Is that portion of Chaparral Road going to be redesigned or just chip seal?
It's chip seal. Yeah, they'll just do level up, chip seal, and
I think all of Chaparral is on the schedule this year to level up and chip seal. We do it about every 3 years anyway now because of the traffic.
and striping as well. So it'll be. I think Matt, how long did you say it would take? About a month to do all that? The portion that we talked about and discussed.
Just your section.
Now, this is only going to improve that section. I think the design was initially for everything to make that improvement. By everything, I mean right there at that turn by the high school for it to flow correctly. Do you have what it would be graded at if we just do the Featherline section? And what will that improve to?
Yeah, so if we just did the left turn lane at Featherline and the traffic signal, the high school driveway intersection would still operate at an F. It wouldn't help at all with that one. The Featherline intersection would come down to about an E, so it would help a little bit, but it certainly wouldn't address the overlaying issues.
Yeah, I think your study really is almost, I mean, from what I understood, the study that y'all did on the two traffic signals or that section said that without two traffic signals, nothing was really going to get it past an E. That needed to be an all or nothing kind of deal because the stacking traffic between those, which we were told years ago when we were initially looking at all this, the stacking traffic between those two intersections would not work properly if you didn't have those lights signaled or signals timed together.
Correct. Yes. To fully fix the two intersections, we would highly recommend doing both signals and all the turn lanes included. But, it's ultimately up to what the county thinks is best.
But what you're proposing today is just to approve that one side. I don't know that it fixes our problem.
Correct.
So just so I'm clear, the project, the deliverables are a signal at Featherline and Chaparral and a northbound turn lane?
Correct. Yeah, eastbound on Chaparral to turn north on Featherline.
Yeah, eastbound to turn north and a signal at that location. And what's the cost for the engineering services?
$120,800.
And that's, what's that cost based on? I mean, is that a percentage of your build out project? Or
Correct.
is that just flat fee you'll charge? Or?
Yes, we worked with the county to put together a detailed scope and fee for the traffic signal design and the turn lane improvements. And we broke it down by hours for each task. So that covers how we got the actual number. And it was also based on a percentage of the overall cost estimate.
Which is what?
They'll have design, and then they're going to help with a bid package, and then some construction oversight during the construction part.
And so what's the overall project cost?
It should be around $800,000.
That's for a signal and the
Turn lane.
turn lane?
Look, when we started on this, we had a price for the whole thing, though.
Right.
And what was that price? The design for the whole project.
The design would be, let me get that number. If they were both combined, would be about 220 to 230,000. We think we could get that number down if they were both done at the same time. There's some redundancy in tasks, but if they were done separately, it would be around 230,000 total.
And what was the cost for the total project?
I believe it was around 1.6 million
For each intersection?
total for both intersections combined.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
what I thought.
Were you not working with, I know we're short an engineer, but working on the turn lane there?
Well, we were just doing that turn lane in-house. We were going to do a temporary, and we could do that on our own. It didn't include the signal or anything. It was just the right-hand turn lane to go south on Chaparral, and then the right-hand turn lane to go north on Featherline, within our existing right-of-way with no signaling yet. The concern that I had about signaling was those signals need to be synchronized. And so we talked about putting temporary signals in, or relatively temporary signals in for 5 years, 6 years, maybe end up 10 years. Because if we put both signals in and synchronize them, then that cost was, I don't remember the number now, but significantly higher to buy those traffic signals. And then they would no doubt be torn out and replaced and when the final build out occurred. So we were just trying to not spend a tremendous amount of money for a relatively temporary solution. But if that solution's 5 to maybe realistically 10 years from now, it might need to be a more permanent solution. And then it's just an issue of funding. How do we pay for it?
What type of light is going to be there that you're going to spec for?
Yeah, I'm not a traffic engineer, so I can definitely go back and get some more of those details. But I believe they just modeled them as individual traffic signals. I don't think they modeled them as synchronized. So from my perspective, we were just planning to put in, they would be permanent, but they would be span wire signals. So they wouldn't be a steel pole with an arm. It would just be the string in between, essentially, to reduce that cost, because we do know eventually the ultimate section will come in and get rid of them. So it doesn't make sense to do the more expensive ones.
Okay.
And Commissioner, did I hear you say this precinct 4 funds, road bridge funds for what would be about 920, a little less than $1 million, not counting the chip seal work. The chip seal work.
Right. I think the chip seal work is 275 is what we budgeted for. We're doing the chip seal work.
Any questions, I guess, or comments?
I guess my only comment, and I don't know the involvement of your project management when we actually build it out and the bidding and all of that. I'm all for that because I think Amy's pretty well stacked up right now, so I'm fine with having that done. But in projects we've had done before, the cost seems pretty high, at least as a percentage of the job. Now, project management, all that we've not done before, so I'd like to kind of see that break down a little bit better. But I also would like to see this done as one project, not split into two, because we can make that Featherline Chaparral intersection really, really nice and still stack up traffic in that light that people won't be able to cross if we don't have that traffic moving out on the east side. And that signal basically does no good at all. By the way, there's an elementary school coming in a couple of years down that same road. So I don't see the logic in just doing one corner.
Yeah, we would highly recommend doing all of them for sure.
Is this a fast growth area? Obviously, if
It's already a grown area. And it's not only a fast growth area, it's a grown area. There's already more people than
grown man area,
on
okay.
this road, yeah.
I kind of align with you, Commissioner, that if we're going to go do this thing, let's get it, if we can get the money. The question is where can we get money? Is there a grant we can get or anything like that?
I think the answer to that is yes. I think the answer to will we get that before the summer is absolutely no.
Yeah, so that's where we're trying to hurry up, is get something done with what we've got now, and then piggyback the rest of it on. Okay.
Right. So in talking to Road and Bridge over the last several months, that's why we had talked about putting the temporary right turn lane in at Chaparral. I'm calling it temporary until we can do the signaling and all of that, which we definitely need to bid out, not only the bid process, but we'd hire a contractor to do that because our guys don't have the depth to do all of that. They got too many other projects going on already. So to do it this summer, we could do in-house the turn lanes and release some of that traffic for this summer, but over the next course of a year, 2 years, get K-Tempo funding that's already kind of in line there, knowing that Killeen's not going to do the whole job for 2029 at the earliest. Potentially get some things that we could even do the ultimate build out with those funds as just the county and K-Tempo or federal funding, and get that section done without having Killeen be involved in that at all. So they could still do their 2029 schedule, but then we wouldn't, just like the school's built out there at the north end of the school, we could build out that section as well with some additional state funding. But that's not going to happen this summer. So I agree, we need to get something done this summer, but we can put a turn lane. And Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have the bandwidth to put the turn lanes from east of Featherline, widen those shoulders a little bit, get a middle lane stuck in there to go north on Featherline, run that turn lane down, or run that third lane down and shift them right and left as you come to the ends between Featherline and Chaparral South to put right-hand turn lanes on that section of road as well. That's just us cutting, because we're not going to get any more right-of-way or anything. That's just us cutting in some base and chip sealing it as well. And do that until we can get to the point where we can put some signals in, because the signals are the biggest part of this cost. Signals cost how much again?
Signals are around 400,000 each.
Yeah, so half of this just sticking a signal in there.
And that actually sounds like a really good plan to do the turn lanes separately, because the signals are not going to interrupt traffic, but the turn lanes will.
Right.
So if we can at least get the turn lanes done before school, the signals can get put in at any time.
Right. That's what I thought the study had shown us earlier this year.
Yeah. And we had originally talked about the 3 turn lanes and the 2 signals, and I think there was some debate about which ones should be done or not.
Right.
So we recommend all of those, but if we have to do it in pieces, I think that's still a lot better than not doing it at all.
Do you have a recommendation of the sequence of the pieces that we can get done with the money we're throwing around? You know, we've got some money to spend, and what would be your top steps to do in order, or do you have it?
Well, we have precinct 4 money to spend.
And that's what we're spending, is precinct 4 money. So, this other section right there where the school, that's precinct 2. So that if I don't know how, when Bobby's thinking about doing the turn or the traffic light, but where I'm getting my money from is diverting some of the maintenance on some of the roads. We'll be able to make those up in this year's budget because we don't have a lot scheduled for the seal coat program. So we'll be able to, whatever we defer this year, we'll be able to pick up next year. So that's how I'm making that money available.
You got a little over $2 million in fund balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm not able to divert a lot of those funds in my, you might be able to in your precinct, but I got a lot of roads that need seal coated very badly right now, and we're talking about that now. Might even be one of the worst, just because of the increase in traffic within my precinct. Coming up I-35 and all that around Salado, those roads are very small, very narrow. We've got big Solana Ranch subdivisions and big gooseneck subdivisions going in that I'm going to have to build roads. So I don't have the same available funds as you do going into the next year to 2 years. And so that was my concern, to try to piece this as we could to make it, keep it safe, get something done this summer so that it's better than it is at least. And I want the traffic lights up as quick as possible as well. I just think if the traffic light, if you put your traffic light, you can do whatever you want in your precinct, that's great. But if you put that traffic light up on Featherline and the traffic just stacks up between Featherline and the South Chaparral area, then your traffic light can be green all day long and traffic can't move through it anyway. So it really, I think it needs to have both traffic lights done at the same time. So traffic moves, traffic stops, traffic moves the other way, traffic stops.
Well, we can always go to the fund balance for it.
Well, that's a us decision,
Right.
not a me or you
Right,
decision.
right.
Yeah. We might have 2 out of 3 votes already though.
But, so I guguess the main thing is, getting with Amy on purchasing and see what bid documents. Amy, have we done this before? I guess to bid out a road project like this?
We've bid out road projects before, so there's a lot of stuff I need to be able to bid this out.
But I thought we were going to ask Freeze and Nichols to do the bid process.
Well, they say that they'll get the bid package together.
They can't bid it, I have to bid it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She'll still have to put it
I
out,
still
but
have to.
they'll present everything. They'll give everything to her. And from what I was told, we should be able to have something ready to go within 45 days.
Right. It's a small project, so we can have it done really quick. And I don't know how long county usually likes to bid projects, but we can make that pretty quick too, if need be.
Usually 30 days, right?
I don't know.
After
It's
we let
pretty
them.
normal. Mhm.
30 days?
Yeah.
But I think the action, this workshop today, but the action that's coming forward is a request, again, from the commissioner from Precinct 4 to engage Freeze and Nichols to start the engineering work, in essence, on the project, with an anticipation that is also going to spend Precinct 4 money for that, as well as the construction cost for the signal and the turn lane.
Correct.
And to do that regardless, and again, I realize there's a debate going on about whether or not that helps the situation or doesn't help the situation. But that's the next action item, I think, that I'm hearing is going to hit the dais, is your request to approve the professional services agreement so that this can get launched.
Correct.
And spend Precinct 4 money on that.
But your request is just for the Featherline Chaparral corner,
Correct.
which is an engineering cost of 130.
120,800.
Which I kind of agree with Commissioner Whitson. That's a pretty high percentage of what we say we're going to, the project for that scope is 800,000, 900,000.
Yeah, I think the reason that we called you first is because we were anticipating that since you've already done that entire corridor, I know that's not construction plans, but the scope of that corridor that we kind of thought you'd have a leg up on somebody else getting that done both quicker and hopefully cheaper.
Right. And we can always look at it again. We've already reduced it quite a bit. We don't have to go out and get any surveying because we already have that. But the traffic signals themselves take a bit of effort to get them all in the right spots.
Right.
Okay, well, kind of what I'm hearing is it'll be an agenda item next meeting that you're bringing forward.
Well, I was going to seek ratification, but is it?
A contract needs to be put in place,
I-
a PO issued and a notice to proceed issued as well.
To engage the engineer?
Yes.
Yeah, I would tend to think that it's next meeting agenda item is what I would think, based on the discussion.
And for your benefit, next meeting's agenda item, I'd like to have figures for the whole thing.
To engineer the whole thing?
Engineer the whole thing, lights on both ends.
Just the light or the turn lanes too?
Well,
I thought we were doing the turn lanes in-house.
well, that was my plan, but this is, you know, this would be different. What we were gonna do on turn lanes is just build a basic county road, put our base out there and chip seal it. I don't know if your design is calling for asphalt, is calling for geotech and setting up, you know, what your base is gonna look like, if you're putting geogrid in it or you're gonna lime it, or, I don't know any of those details. That's what I'm saying. I would like to know what that detail would be, and maybe you can't do that to obviously do the plan, but if it's just lay another, 10, 12 feet of asphalt next to the road and make 2 turn lanes at the end, we could do that.
Yeah, the original plan was to do a full asphalt section. So if the county just wanted to do base and a quick chip seal, then that would reduce the cost on our end for sure.
Matthew, how much design do we need for that? Do we need an engineer spec to widen that county road?
Really, it would be nice to have, I think, at least someone come out there and survey the market.
Well, we've already got the survey done. We'll have to mark it where it goes, but the survey for fence row to fence rows, Quicksaw's done that.
That's all we need.
And we cleared out the bar ditches and everything already. I know y'all trimmed all the trees back, but basically I was anticipating whatever the current road base is, which has been fine. We were just gonna cut down and add to that another lane on that south side because we got room on the south end.
So the only addition to the professional services would be for the
Signals, yeah. But that was between Featherline and Chaparral. I'm assuming you can continue to go down west of Featherline to put the turn lane in heading east.
You would have to.
Yeah.
There would be no way around it.
Right.
Even if he just did his on his side, something would have to be done over on precinct 2 side.
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah, I agree.
I guess what I'm hearing is bring kind of 2 back. I mean, one that's just what Louie is proposing, I think, and one that has this so that they're severable. Because I don't know, again, I don't know from everybody else's chair, but I don't, I'm not sure I want to spend general fund money on this. I recognize you got priorities, so it's that, but we got road and bridge funds, and that's what those are for. And so if y'all got different priorities, that's fine. But I don't know that I want to start dipping into general fund to pay for stuff like this. So I would separate those out because there might be a vote that goes one way on one and another way on the other.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I hope you enjoyed that workshop clip. So you kind of have a good understanding of how we talk things through and try to come with solutions on how to address issues in our community. So anyways, now let me pull up my interview with Lan Carter. So hope you enjoy. Okay, so now we are here with our special guest, Lan Carter, who is running for Killeen Independent School District Trustee, Board of Trustee for Place 3. Lan, thank you for taking time out of your day and coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
So I started this podcast a little bit before, maybe a month before I took office, and it was a way for me to break through some of the media, get my message out there of why I'm running and what I'm doing for as a county commissioner. And it's already been 3 years now. I've been doing my show, have over 60 episodes, and whenever we have elections, I try to bring in people that are running for office, people that I want to support. And so that's why I invited you to come on. So if you would, I guess, tell us about Lan Carter. Who is Lan Carter?
Okay, well, thank you for having me. Lan Carter is a foremost mom. I'm really proud of being a mom. I'm a mom of 3. I am a former public school teacher. I taught for 8 years. I taught kindergarten, 5th grade, and high school. I'm a military spouse. My husband retired from the military for 20 years. I currently work as a child therapist. Let's see. Who else am I? What am I? I'm just really passionate about education.
And so your kids went to Killeen ISD, I'm assuming?
Yes, and I am actually a product of Killeen ISD too. I graduated from Killeen High School.
Okay. So what, I guess, what I've always admired most about you is you've always, felt like you could make a difference and give people a choice. And I admire that because I ran for office for over a decade before I got elected to office. I started in 2013, 2014 election cycle. Obviously, I didn't win because I ran for Congress, but I always stayed with it because it's not just, for me, it's about helping people and a passion to help people. So why Killeen ISD?
Well, again, because me being a public school educator, but also because I had issues with my own children going to school within KISD, and that's when I started seeing that there was a disconnect in the community, in the education system in Killeen. And I thought about, okay, well, someone needs to step up. If you see the problems, you have to come up with solutions. And I felt passionate enough to do that because I saw there was a lot of issues within Killeen that needed to be improved upon. And I think that all kids deserve the best education possible that we can give them. And so that's why I keep sticking to it. And I think that it takes a specific board member to do that. And I think that that's me because I'm not afraid to ask the hard questions and do the research to get the job done.
Okay. So explain to our listeners that may or may not know about Killeen ISD. Can you kind of explain Killeen ISD?
Well, it's one of the largest employers in this area. Let's see. Specifically about Killeen ISD, it's got some really good programs, or do you want to know the issues within Killeen ISD?
Well, I think I remember hearing somewhere, I forgot where I heard this, but Killeen ISD has about 44,000 kids enrolled. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, 45,000. Yeah, it's a big school district.
And I do know the superintendent is very well paid, very highly paid in this area. We have a lot.
340,000, I believe.
Say that again.
340,000, I believe.
Oh,
something
wow.
like that. Over 300,000. I know.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So, for me as a county commissioner, I always hear people complaining about property taxes, and I mean it's number one, without a doubt, number one thing people complain about. But what I have to explain to them is that relative, special districts, cities, and counties are, a very small portion of your property tax bill. The main culprit is your school board property taxes. Can you kind of explain why that is?
I'm going to be honest and tell you, I don't know a lot about the property tax. I just know that they can't set the rate for the property tax.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly what the current rate is, or when's the last time they rose the rate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know exactly what their rate is either, but they are, the lion's share of property taxes that people pay in and it's not just in Killeen. It's all across the state. Property tax for school districts are the highest bill on there, and that's because the state is not fully funding public education. I think it was Representative John Bryant down in Austin that said here because, and we'll get into vouchers, but he said in the committee on vouchers that the state wants to tout all this surplus, this budget surplus, and the reason why they have this budget surplus is because all these great things they're doing with business, deregulating this and that. They have that budget surplus because they are underfunding public education. The last time the basic allotment had any changes to it was in 2019. So that's where that surplus comes from. It's not from anything great that Republicans are doing. It's because they're underfunding public education.
Well, I knew that. I knew that it had been not fully funded since 2019. I know he held the budget hostage as far as funding schools.
Mm-hmm. So, with that said, what can you do to address some of these issues? What is your number one, number two, number three that you want to tackle once you get elected?
Is the budget. The budget is extremely important. Ensure that our students and staff are getting the resources that they need to be academically successful. The second priority would be, honestly, school safety. And you can ask me the same question 2 days from now, and there's just so many different priorities. So it's really hard to pick down to three. But right now, it's going to be the budget and school safety. And three would be, that's a hard question. School staffing, I think, is really important. I think that right now supposedly there's a lack of school teachers. Teachers are leaving the profession, that's a fact, but that's a fact all over the country. But we need to figure out what can we do to keep those teachers within KISD. How can we recruit the teachers to stay?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the environment that they're working in.
Yeah.
And so we need to improve that as well as the pay.
Yeah, I've definitely heard, teachers are leaving school districts across the state because of safety in the classroom, because of pay. And, let's face it, teachers have been under attack by Republicans for the last couple of years now. So I can definitely see where that's an issue, that recruitment and retention for teachers. But I think it's more than just teachers, correct? I mean, we have support staff and
yes.
and I don't know what all staff is in school districts, I guess.
Bus drivers, nutrition workers, school teachers' aides. I went to a forum yesterday where one of the ladies is an aide, and she told me she made $12 an hour.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
like, you can't live. That's not a living wage. And I asked her why she did it, and she said because of the love of the children.
Yeah.
So it's just like she was a bus monitor for special ed kids, and she made $12 an hour. And so I was like, wow, that's impossible. She said that her grandson, who works fast food, makes more money than she does.
Yeah, definitely we can improve that. We can improve that for sure. So let's talk about vouchers. It appears to me that vouchers will probably happen here in Texas this legislative session. $1 billion they have allocated to this voucher scam program. It's going to pull money out of public education, and I'm because I did watch a lot of the public hearings and stuff online, but I heard somewhere that if 100 kids pull out of the school district, they're going to lose teachers, they're going to lose support staff, and I think there's a website, Don't Defund My School, and you can put in your address, and it'll pull up your school and how much your school is anticipated to lose. I think Killeen ISD had $17 million if vouchers is approved that Killeen ISD is going to lose. That sound about right?
So that's probably about right. Yeah, I did see that that same website.
Mm-hmm. And so, what do you think Killeen ISD can do if we do have a lot of kids leaving? Because isn't that how schools are paid right now? Is by enrollment in class whenever they go to school every day?
Mm-hmm. It is. It's by attendance, daily attendance.
So what can you do? Because I mean, you're going to go once you're elected. I mean, you're going right into budget, and so I mean, you're going to have to educate yourself really quick on the budgeting and the budget process, and then with the potential loss of hundreds of kids. I'm just curious. What do you think you can do? I mean, you would have to make cuts. Didn't Killeen ISD just make cuts last budget because of they were running into some revenue issues?
Yeah, but they cut positions that were unfilled. Time.
Okay.
So that's how they helped offset that. So I honestly think that they're just going to have to, because I know from what the current board members are saying, they don't really want to cut positions. So they're going to be looking at cutting waste, trying to cut some waste as much as possible. Basically, looking at programs that don't work.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're talking about, like, for summer school, about probably not having summer school, or because they're saying it's not mandatory. Things like transportation, it's not mandatory. So they're going to be looking at cutting things that are not mandatory. I personally believe in cutting waste. I think we're too top heavy. So if positions had to go, I think that we had to get rid of some top heavy positions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look, we have so many administrators doing, we have administrators like six APs. And on top of that, you've got dean of instruction. What does dean of instruction do outside of the principal and the AP in their school? You know what I mean? We have several coordinators that were coordinators. Now they're district directors from special ed. And it's like, why did we have to create those positions?
Right.
And so I would be looking at things like that. It's like not creating more positions in admin, thinking about reducing those positions, thinking about not duplicating positions that we already have, cutting waste as far as things like programs. I wouldn't look at so much as cutting programs, because I think we have kids that use those programs and utilize those programs. But I would just look at things like, how are we wasteful?
Mm-hmm.
And try to get rid of some of that. Try to get rid of some of that first before we think about cutting staff.
Right. In this morning's paper, it's Sunday, April 13th. This morning's paper, they had talked about what happened last month, Killeen ISD. And for those that don't know, there was a incident at one of the middle schools where a student was stabbed and killed on campus by another student, and they had, and that's been all over the news here locally, and rightfully so. You know, a lot of parents are concerned. There's a lot of tension in the air with parents in Killeen ISD, and one of the paper said that they sent out a questionnaire to all the incumbents and our trustees and candidates, and I think only 2 of y'all responded, and you was one of them. Can you explain, I guess, what are your thoughts on the incident that happened at Roy J. Smith Middle School? Because I know it's definitely a touchy subject for everyone involved, including Killeen ISD. But like I said, you were one of the only ones. I think the 2 candidates were the only ones that answered the questionnaire.
Oh, that's disappointing. Well, obviously it was a tragedy for everyone involved, both the victim and the alleged perpetrator. So it was a tragedy for everybody in the community because in their mind it could have been them. It could have been their child that
Right.
didn't come home that day. So that was an eye-opening experience, especially to how to handle bullying within the schools. That is something that KISD hasn't done successfully. Parents have complained about that for years, and up until recently, because of the tragedy, things hadn't changed. So since the tragedy, Dr. Fay has implemented some new policies and procedures to deal with discipline as far as bullying.
Okay.
But it unfortunately, the aftermath, bullying still occurs. From my understanding, I have clients that go to KISD and they're saying they're still being bullied. So there's no quick fix for the problem, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, bullying has been around for forever, I'm sure, in schools. I remember bullies in my high school, but I think the thing is different is social media.
Mm-hmm.
Now kids are, recording this stuff and putting it online and it's there forever.
Yep, you're correct. And there's so different, and there's so many different types of bullying now. Before it was more physical, and now we have emotional bullying, we have sexual bullying, we have cyberbullying, like you said. So I think it has a lot to do with educating the staff on the different types of bullying and how to handle the bullying. Simply just saying, okay, someone reports the bullying and you send them back to class, that's not okay. You have to investigate the bullying as immediately as possible while it's still fresh in the victim's mind and
Right.
deal with the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator as well. And you don't want to have them going back to the same class after the bullying happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's traumatic.
So Killeen ISD, they implemented a no cell phone policy, and that
Hmm.
was brought up during this incident because it was hard for parents to try to reach their child during this incident. Um, what is your stance on the cell phone policy?
I understand the no cell phone policy. And as an educator, I appreciate the no cell phone policy. I taught in a district that also had a no cell phone policy, but we didn't take it to the point to where we had spent money on pouches. I disagree with the spending on pouches. I thought that was a wasteful amount of money that was spent. I think they could have just used the policy that they had and enforced it throughout the district. And I think that it's simply telling the students, you can use your cell phone for academic purposes when the teacher tells you to. For instance, in that situation, I would have wanted to hear from my student. I would want my student to have their cell phone available to call me in the wake of a tragedy. So I don't appreciate the fact that the students have to have it unlocked in order to be able to be used.
Yeah. So where I hear a lot about Killeen ISD and juveniles because Commissioner's Court we support and fund our juvenile services and juvenile detention center. So and we establish a truancy court for kids that do not attend school. So that's where I have my interactions with Killeen ISD. I do know that outside of truancy, one of the big issues is vaping, because if it's a hemp or CBD or THC type product, that's a felony. So we have kids that are vaping that are young kids getting charged with felonies for vaping, and I do know that there's probably some legislation that might be coming down to address some of those things, but it's been very hard on our students because they're getting charged with felonies at a young age.
Yeah, and I do think that's too harsh. Back in our day, it was cigarettes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just okay. It's bad for you, but you didn't get charged with a crime.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's ruining a child's life before they even get ready to start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On also on Killeen ISD, not Killeen ISD, Killeen Daily Herald, they had a poll, and I'll read the poll. It says, "Do you think leadership changes are needed in Killeen Independent School District in the wake of last month's fatal student stabbing incident?" I'm going to assume you would say yes because you're running, but the poll was interesting. They have 5 options. Yes, blame it. Blame for this incident goes all the way to the top. New superintendent is needed. And that got 15.4%. 25% people said yes. The incident reveals a lack of planning and oversight. Multiple changes should be made. 7.7% said no. The focus should be on campus leadership, not the district's top administrator. And then 34.6% of the people said no, even the best policies and procedures might not have prevented this tragic incident. So, it sounds like the yes and no's are almost even a little bit. And then 17.3% of people are unsure. So to me, I think that's a great poll. If people that read the local paper, they're most likely going to be voters. And if they're on Killeen Daily Herald's website, they're looking for information. If they're taking this poll, they're probably going to vote. So that lets you know that you got 17% of the electorate that you should be able to influence with your policies and ideas. I know Killeen Daily I think they did an interview with your opponent, and I watched that. And I was surprised because, well, first of all, they didn't ask him anything about vouchers, but they did ask him about getting rid of the Department of Education. And he supported that. How can you be a school board trustee and support abolishing the Department of Education?
Yeah, I was surprised about that too as well. But yeah, he is actually in support of vouchers. He said that yesterday at a candidate forum.
Oh, he did. Okay.
He is in support of the idea of getting choice and vouchers, but he doesn't agree with, he said, taking money from public funds. That's what he said, from public schools. So he did stipulate that. But yeah, I found it interesting that he said that too, as far as abolish, which makes me think maybe he doesn't really know all of the programs that fall under the Department of Education and how the Department of Education works.
Yeah. So from my understanding of, I guess the most interaction the Department of Education has with school districts, it's the special education programs and different like Title IX protections and all these special education stuff. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. Yes, that's a fair statement.
Okay. So, and I'm assuming all those are going to go to the state.
Yes, which is really sad because the state doesn't always get it right as well. So Department of Education would be the last step on the line, basically, to get it right, basically.
Yeah. Well, the state is doing a horrible.
If you remember, our state for TEA was out of compliance for special education years ago, and so the Department of Education came in and did a bunch of listening sessions to provide oversight of basically why, and they ruled basically that TEA was out of compliance when they said that only 8% of special ed students, only 8% of students could be considered special ed at that time.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's not something I support. It sounds like it's not something you support. So there's a clear contrast to me with you and your opponent, that you support public education and you do not support the abolishment of the Department of Education and giving our money, our school dollars, our tax dollars to private schools. That's something that I was at the NAACP event a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to our state representative. He's the chairman of the education committee and wrote the voucher program. And I told him about the property tax issue that, I don't hear anyone, zero, asking about school choice or, sending their kids to private schools. But what I do hear about is property taxes are too high and what can we do to fix it? And I told him that $1 billion that you're funneling to these businesses, because that's what they are, they're businesses, that money could go to lowering property taxes. And he said, oh yeah, we're doing all these things right now for property taxes and business taxes, which they are, and that's great. But you could put $1 billion more in that type of relief. We're not going to get any relief, zero relief for funding this voucher program.
And not much of it's going to go to, even though I know he has the 2 standalone bills, basically, where supposedly we're supposed to get additional money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I just see it being a detriment to the public schools.
Yeah. So, Lan, we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up. I just want to let people know some information about the actual election. We already passed the last day to register. The last day to register to vote was April 3rd. So if you're not registered by now, it's too late for this election, but you can still help get people to the polls. Early voting starts April 22nd, and then election day is May 3rd. That's all correct?
Yes. Okay.
And there's different polling locations that you could go to in the city of Killeen. Killeen ISD covers more than just city of Killeen. What I know it's like Nolanville and Harker Heights. Is that anywhere else? Am I living?
Nolanville, Harker Heights, and of course, yes, even though Fort Hood, their polling sites are in within Killeen.
Yeah. So those, and then if you wanted to know more information where polling locations are at for early voting, that'll be at Killeen City Hall, Jackson Learning Center, and Lyons Senior Park. And then I'm pretty sure in Nolanville and in Harker Heights, they both have places to vote.
Yes.
It's usually their library or their senior center over there. So if someone wants to get involved to help you out, learn more about Lan Carter, where can they go?
They can go to my Facebook page. It's Killeen. It's Land for Killeen ISD, or they can go to my website, which is vote4land.org.
Okay. All right. Any last words, Lan, that you would like to leave? A parting message to the listeners?
That I would really appreciate your vote. I think it's really important that we get some new faces in and make some changes within the district, because the district is very disconnected. And I think that we can do it. I think that me being that lone voice can set a good example for the other board members where they need to step up to the plate.
I totally agree with that. You have my support. I'm the lone voice on the commissioner's court, and I do everything I can to push the narrative of things that we're doing right, things we're doing wrong, and try to invite the public in to help us figure it out, because it's not just me or my ideas, it's the public, that I represent, that, these ideas come from. So thank you for running, and we'll do everything we can to help you out. And I'm sure the citizens listening, if they're not convinced yet, they're probably convinced now to go out and support you. So thank you, Lan Carter, for doing our show, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing what you do.
All right. Thank you.